Hello, friends. Change of scenery today. I am on the floor of my parents' room because it just felt right. So, before we get into the video, 2 days post surgery, feeling okay. Had a nice little rib resection. I'm trying to see if we can. So, see, this is here on this side, not here on this side, baby. So, if you're a woman, a beautiful woman out there that wants a fully ribbed man, I am sorry, I just can't be that for you anymore. So, if you can get past it, that's great. If not, I completely understand. I mean, it's something I'll have to live with the rest of my life. So, and also, if I look like a hot mess in any other way, it's because I have been laying around more than I'm capable of laying around. So, I'm a little bit out of whack. But anyway, so I had to do something productive. So we're making a video today discussing the randomness of life and the beauty in that. And what kind of sparked me to want to talk about this, because I have a personal story I want to talk about, and it's relating to my situation right now. But if anyone knows Mike Posner, he's a musician, been around for a while. He's made some pretty big songs. If you look him up, I'm sure you'll find something you know. He made a song 10 years ago called Please Don't Go. I don't think it was that big of a song. It may have been decent, but because of TikTok right now, it has been rediscovered and it's like blowing up. And it just made me think about how it's just funny how life works, where, I mean, he made that song 10 years ago. He just, put it out there and moved on, has done a bunch of other stuff since then. It's been 10 years. I mean, 10 years is not a small amount of time. And all of a sudden, it's blowing up again. I mean, I was looking at his Social Blade for his YouTube channel, and his views in the past month have gone up like 300,000%. And I'm imagining it's kind of related to that specific video going viral again. So, with me personally, and like all the stuff I do with my writing and YouTube, that's kind of how I think about things is, you never know when stuff's going to blow up. So, it's always worth it to make good things and just imagine that it will eventually do what you want it to do. But the story I wanted to tell was about my situation and some of the beautiful randomness that's kind of followed or ensued. So, and I think it relates to letting go as well. I talk about my book a lot on this channel, and I swear it's not for promotion. It's because that book is my story to this point, or at least until the point I wrote it. I mean, there's been a lot that's changed since then. I think I could add a few more chapters to it, honestly. But, so, again, if you don't know, the whole book builds off of this girl I liked last year and some of the lessons I learned after that. And again, the whole book is not about her, but the lessons I learned from that situation has just paid off in so many ways. And it's given me a lot of context in life and how the things that you want in a certain time just are not, you're going to realize down the road that what you wanted was not what you needed. And you're going to get something that you want way more in the future, as long as you take the lessons from that, learn from them, continue going forward. And that's what this journey's been about for me, is taking those lessons and just continuing to improve myself every day and just look at things in a different way. So, and really, the randomness starts with meeting this girl. Like, I worked with this girl. I mean, what are the odds that this girl's going to work here and I'm still going to work there? Like, you could break it down to a bunch of different ways. But, I mean, a lot of the people we meet can be very random, and you can get so much out of these people without even realizing it. I mean, if you go back a year from now, so March of 2020, the amount of stuff I've learned in the past year, I think has seriously outweighed what I've learned in maybe the prior 5 to 10 years before that. Like it really feels like this past year has been such a dramatic like knowledge drop for me. I feel like I've learned so much in the past year, and it all stems from that whole situation because it was, I mean, it really was kind of like the lowest point of my life. So, I battled through a lot of that stuff, and then I think January this year of 2021, I would say, was when, because you can move on from stuff, and those feelings kind of come back. And I think there is a breaking point eventually where you just are officially done and you let go of that. And I think that's what happened to me in January. And if you think about it, January was not that long ago. Like, we're a few days short of April right now. So, like, 2, 3 months ago is what I'm talking about when this happened. And in the past 2, 3 months, so much has changed for me. So, I had this surgery 2 days ago. 6 weeks ago was when I started kind of experiencing, well, so I don't want to go into the whole surgery completely, but I had a blood clot in my arm that was caused by this rib, which is why it was removed. So I didn't, I mean, 6 weeks ago was when I learned about this problem and was starting to go through some of the issues with it. And so if you want to go back 7, 8 weeks, I had no idea that any of this would happen. So let's talk about what has happened. So I learned in, mid-February that, well, like I go to the hospital down the street. They ambulance me all the way downtown Indianapolis to Methodist Hospital, where they realized, yeah, like, you have a blood clot, we're going to have to remove this, we're going to have to remove your rib down the line, yada, yada, yada. And that day, I mean, so much changed for me because the job I worked at through college that I worked, I just had my 4th anniversary there. Like, the job kind of caused this injury. And I had to quit because of that. And that's not this is a job I loved, but it's just something I knew. And sometimes moving on from the stuff that you know and you're comfortable with is tough. So having to do that was a big challenge for me, and kind of was just an interesting thing to go through. And then so I recognized that, I'm like, okay, wow. Like, and I because of all this journey I've gone on, all these things I've learned, I wasn't really looking at anything in a negative light. It's like, yeah, I'm in a hospital bed right now, and like my life is gonna have to go through some drastic changes, but I'm okay with that because as we've seen in the prior few months with all the changes I went through that led me to writing the book, I realized like that change can be beautiful. And most of the time change is beautiful because it just brings you from one point of your life to another where you really need to end up. And sometimes it can be a drastic change, it really needs to shake you. Sometimes it can just be kind of slow and methodical, and you don't even recognize it. But if you really look back, it's like, wow, over the past 2 months or the past 2 years, I've changed. And I haven't even really consciously recognized that in the moment. And so I had, there was just a bunch of things changing. And they moved me up to a new hospital bed for the night because I had to stay 2 nights. And they rolled me into a room. And immediately I'm like, wow, my nurse is pretty cute. And she's pretty cool. So obviously I get the flirt on because, it's just something I like to do on occasion. I like to, it's fun to flirt, whether it's real or not. It can be fun. So I get the flirt on. And, I get out, we talk a little bit, get out of the hospital. 2 days later, I'm like, you know what? Because I didn't have a chance to make a move in the hospital. And I'm like, I did some research. I found her on LinkedIn and add her on LinkedIn. And since then, I mean, it's been like over a month. We've, kind of become close. And she's someone that I'm very thankful to have met. Just, no matter what happens with us, whether we're just friends or whether we never talk again, like it's just kind of how I'm looking at things now is the random, like that's just a very random situation to hit it off. Like I never expected to go to the hospital. I never expected to meet someone that I related to with on a bunch of different levels, and someone that I really feel like I connect with. That's just something you never expect. And whether you connect with that person for a day and it's over, or you connect with them for a year or 10 years or your whole life, like you just never know. And I think that's what's so freaking cool about life. And from this whole experience has really showed me that every day, like you don't know what is hidden in the next hour, the next day, the next week, and so on. And that's why like it's just so worth it to get up and like try every day and fight, because you really never know what's around the corner. And seriously, like the matter of one day. I mean, I didn't think when I went to sleep the night before going to the hospital, I didn't think I'd go to the hospital the next day and realize I had to quit my job, realize I was going to have a major surgery, and realize that I was going to meet someone that I really connect with and I think is a beautiful person. That's something that just the night before I never thought was going to happen. I mean, that is a very impactful day on my life. And, looking ahead a year or 10 years, like I may look back at that one day as a major turning point in my life, and you just don't know when that's going to happen. And I just think that's so cool. And it can happen in much smaller forms too. Or like I said earlier, it can happen over time without you really realizing it. But there's something hidden ahead of you all the time. I mean, a lot of these days are very slow. And for me right now, very, very slow, because I don't like to sit in bed all day, but I kind of have to. And it's it can be tough some days, that can be very monotonous, but if you just continue to go and be true to yourself and show your true self to the world, those things are going to start to happen. And that's one thing again I've really recognized. And that's why I want to get into YouTube more, and I'm making videos a lot more lately, because I feel so much more comfortable with myself than I did before, and I want to help people get to that same point. And I really just enjoy talking about these things, because again, the past year, and really it's even been less than a year, because a lot of these, I started writing my book in November, so it was the end of November and it's the end of March right now, so that's like 5 months. I mean, the amount of, and of course I had to learn a lot of the stuff before I wrote the book, but the past 5 to 8 months I think is where most of that stuff came from. And I mean, it's just, and it's incredible. And like I said, I published the book on New Year's Day, so it's been about 4 months since then, and there's been so much more that I could go back and add just in 4 months. I mean, there is just like you really just have to keep going, and really just, who cares about what other people think? Who cares about this and that? There's so many stupid things, that trivial things that we get stuck on, and it slows us down. And what I've realized in these past few months, the past year, is that when you just let things go with the flow, like things just happen. And I mean, it's what's exciting to me, because life is not predictable. And if life was predictable, it wouldn't be fun. I mean, if you wouldn't ask me in March of last year how the next year would go, I would have fucking no clue. Sorry to cuss, but I mean, I would have no clue. I would have said, "Oh yeah, maybe I'll find a job." Like after that, who knows? Probably be the same old, same old. It has not been the same old, same old. It has been crazy. Like to look back, what has happened in such a short time. And again, I feel like a lot of that was just me getting out of my own way and letting life kind of take over, and letting destiny kind of play out. So that's basically all. and what's going to happen over the next, like, I look back the past 6 weeks, what's happened, and it makes me look forward to the next 6 weeks and think, wow, what can happen in that amount of time? And if nothing crazy happens, then what's going to happen in the next 6 weeks after that, or the next 6 months? I mean, you have no clue. You have no clue what's coming. And just continue to get up and go do stuff. Like, I think that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I have is just like the Nike slogan is so simple but so true. Like, just do it. Like, literally, just go. Just do. Just do stuff. I mean, the amount of stuff you can learn, whether you're failing or not, failure is not real, first of all. Failure is always going to produce a lesson. And if you can get a lesson out of something, then it's a success. So you can't fail unless you're choosing to fail. You cannot fail. If you do something and you don't take a lesson out of it, then, that was a failure. And that's kind of on you for not being able to recognize that. But you really just can't fail. I mean, there's always something you're going to learn from a situation that's going to make the next situation easier and make you more prepared for it, make you stronger for it. That's another thing is strength. Like, the more experiences you go through, you just get better and better at being able to handle things, whether it's rejection or whatever. You just get better at handling it. So that's my side of the story. Life is beautifully random, and there could be something just around the corner for you that could change everything. And again, if I went back to the beginning of February, I would have never thought that the next 2 months would be how they've been. So just kind of think about that. And if the next 2 months aren't crazy for you, that's okay, because they will be at some point. Things happen quick. So keep going, stay beautiful, stay blessed, and have a wonderful day.